The new form of attack?
These illegal DEI and DEIA policies also threaten the safety of American men, women, and children across the nation by diminishing the importance of individual merit, aptitude, hard work, and determination when selecting people for jobs and services in key sectors of American society, including all levels of government and the medical, aviation, and law enforcement communities.
DEI unintentionally introduces racism and prejudice where it otherwise did not exist.
The incentive structure, I believe, at Boeing changed to include DEI as a fundamental executive incentive. In my view, it should be purely about passenger safety.
Biden said, first off, he said he's going to hire a black female for vice president, and he just skipped over. What about white females? What about any other group? When you go down that route, you take mediocrity, and that's what they have right now as a vice president.
So are you suggesting she was a DEI hire?
100%. She was a DEI hire.
And that's why I think this United story and the DEI story hits so hard, because we've all been in the back of a plane when the turbulence hits or when you're flying through a storm and you're like, I'm so glad I saw the guy with the right stuff and the square jaw get into the cockpit before we took off. And I feel better now thinking about that.
No, I mean, like, you want to go thought crime? Like, I'm sorry. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
From woke to critical race theory, we have seen the ways that the right will try to use coded language to get their point across. And with that, it has gotten into sports as well. Here is ESPN's Mina Kimes.
I saw this comment, and I wanted to address it because, look, I get called DEI all day, every day, as of like the last year or so. And no, there was no edict from anyone at ESPN to say, oh man, you know what we really need? An Asian female NFL analyst. We gotta just find one. That's what the people are clamoring for. So I was not hired in that way.
Let's pause here. One attacker who sends his legion of minions after Kimes time and time again.
I think she has a right to have this level of confidence. I think she's got ESPN by the balls. I think they're paying her nearly $2 million. She's DEI. She feels like she's got the wind at her back. She's been put in a position she hasn't earned. She's there for DEI.
That guy, Jason Whitlock. And if you were to search his channel, here is what you would see. Non-stop, relentless assault. And there is a reason for it, even if it is completely out of touch and obtuse from reality. More from Kimes.
But I do think diversity, equity, inclusion, the concept of it, what it represents, applies to my initial hire at ESPN. I was a business journalist and investigative reporter for Fortune magazine, Bloomberg, Business Week, but I also loved football, and I wrote a personal essay about football. And the editors at ESPN magazine reached out to me and said, hey, we're trying to think outside the box and expand our scope for the types of people we hire, because we want some different viewpoints and to find talent in different places we hadn't considered. Would you ever consider switching to being a sports writer? That is what diversity, equity, inclusion is all about. It's been twisted into a slur, frankly. It's been derogative to say people are unqualified, when in fact it's to find people who are actually qualified but haven't been considered or given the opportunities.
Amen to that. Before she concludes, let's all remember they used DEI to attack Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott, who is black, as a diversity hire, despite him being elected, reports Newsweek, with more than 70% of the vote. The attacks on former VP Kamala Harris filled with DEI tirades as well.
Stop it, all right? She's a DEI hire, right? She's a woman. She's colored, therefore she's got to be good.
Florida State Senator Shervin Jones rightfully wrote on Twitter, I guess DEI is the new N-word. Mayor Scott would say, we know what they want to say, but they don't have the courage to say the N-word. And the fact that I don't believe in their untruthful and wrongful ideology, and I am very proud of my heritage and who I am and where I come from, scares them. What this all goes back to, in my view, is history repeating itself. And with that, I present this guy. A political consultant, former chairman of the RNC, the late Lee Atwater. In 1981, he was working for the Reagan team, and in an interview, laid out how his party can win voters without sounding racist themselves.
Here's how I would approach that issue as a statistician or a political scientist, or no, as a psychologist, which I'm not, is how abstract you handle the race thing. In other words, you start out, and now y'all aren't quoting me on this. You start out in 1954 by saying, by 1968 you can't say that hurts your backfire, so you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights, and all that stuff. And you're getting so abstract now, you're talking about cutting taxes, and all of these things you're talking about are totally economic things, and the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites. And subconsciously, maybe that is part of it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if it is getting that abstract and that coded, that we're doing away with the racial problem one way or the other. You follow me? Because obviously sitting around saying we want to cut taxes, we want to cut this, and we want is much more abstract than even the busing thing, and a hell of a lot more abstract than, you know. So any way you look at it, race is coming on the back burner.
And it's catching on. Because all they're trying to do is use certain words to dog whistle and signal to their base or those amongst their base to signal to each other what they really feel, and just using a different term or a different word in its place. From Berkeley, when President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, he anticipated that there would be white backlash. The National Party's efforts to promote civil rights at the national level weakened its grip on the South, wrote John A. Powell. Powell adds, Republican strategies began to stoke racial resentment and antipathy to civil rights. For example, Nixon campaign advisor Kevin Phillips and RNC chairman Lee Atwater admitted to appealing to white resentment to civil rights and even white racism. And that is exactly what you are seeing now. They are saying a mainstream conspiracy theorist of being replaced, which was founded, that theory, that conspiracy theory, by literal neo-Nazis. That is mainstream Republicanism at this point. And as Atwater said, the language must be coded. And that's exactly still what is in play today.
So I joined ESPN as a sports writer, something I never thought I would do. And then from there, I went on to pivot into doing analysis, built my career as an analyst, and that's what I do now. So I just wanted to bring that up because, I am a person who's representative of DEI, and honestly, it's a good thing.
If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.